Society, nothing but facts live stream on a sunny and warm and beautiful Wednesday, in which some allegedly ex-Muslim, is this the same guy who couldn't find Ya'juj and Ma'juj on the map, and that's why he left Islam? Okay, so he's put that the maps are absolute and God is to be judged, rather than the Prophet's word, which is inspired by God, because Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى. So we just have to ask, is it actually the Prophet's word? So that's not absolute, and Google Maps is absolute. Right? That's his logic. That's his premise. Google Earth. So Google Earth is absolute, and the Prophet is to be judged on that, verse, as opposed to the opposite, that God's word is absolute. That's fact. And human tools could be right or wrong, limited or not limited. What's this? In the words of Rabbi Mizrahi, retard clip, right? that's how he would say it, right? Retard books and garbage books, but this time it's a clip. What's this guy's name? Yeah. Oh, the friendly kafir. So this in the friendly kafir. Why don't you identify yourself? Be a friendly ex-Muslim, right? But why don't you identify yourself with something? Why would you be an ex? Like if I quit being a communist, maybe I'd be a capitalist, not an ex-communist. So what are you? And what is your content online except for trying to look for clips, which he took a clip about plastic surgery in Islam. So you're allowed to get plastic surgery to fix something, but not to augment for no reason. Because you feel like your teeth better off this way or your nose better off that way. I think that's the rule in Catholicism too. Probably Judaism, like common sense says that too. That there's a big difference between a person who had something that normally you should have or you would have, but you lost. Eyesight, teeth, deviated septum. You broke your nose in a car accident. You have like a mole and you want to remove it. Things that normally people wouldn't have or would have in the norm. I think all of us, common sense tells us, yeah, that's actually normal, right? Or abnormal. And then you're fixing that. Versus what you would call like purely cosmetic. Like, I feel like my nose is a little centimeter this way or that way. Right? Isn't this common sense? So that's what he found to try to make a video out of. But you know, that's as Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Saqaf said, Habib Abdul Qadir al-Saqaf, "Aturiduha barida." Do you want it? Do you want this path of teaching deen? You want it cool and easy? No. Allah's going to test you, and this is the best test because he's a fool. He's a fool. The worst and toughest test is when someone actually finds your error and he exposes it. But because you have to have, because that tests now not only your patience but your humility. Are you humble enough to say, actually, no, I misrepresented the deen. Here's the correct answer. That's most people. Do they have that humility, or do they want to try to sell their authority, like they're an authoritative figure? The whole platform with Safina Society from the start, there's no authoritative person. You're following the whole madhabs. The whole madhab. That's the authority is in the 4 madhabs and the 3 aqidah books, schools, I mean. That's where the authority is. Our job, myself, now we have Sheikh John Starling coming on the regular. Now we got Sheikh Safwan coming on the regular. And then we have all the ArcView teachers and the Darul Fath teachers. Their job is to represent the dominant opinion of these schools. That's it. Well, I don't care about opinion. Why would I want someone's opinion from these days? You can put it in as a little garnish on the side, you know, that nobody eats and very few people eat. A little garnish on the side. Why do I care about anyone's opinion these days? Give me what has been said for hundreds of years with the proof, with the source, and we follow. That's what we live by. That's the premise. In terms of the live stream, today it's the 16th. Tomorrow is the 17th is me. On the 18th, Sheikh John Starling. This Thursday, Sheikh John Starling will be on. Next week, again, it's myself and myself Wednesday, and then Imam Safwan on Thursday. The week after that, it's myself, then Imam Safwan, and then Sheikh John Starling. And that's July. All right. June 30th, July 1st, July 2nd. And we'll talk about the rest of the summer later on. But they'll both be regulars this summer. Okay, today we're going to talk about 7 desires. And this number 7 pretty much encompasses all a person's desires, but it's not necessarily all encompassing. But it's a good number, the 7 desires. 7 is like the best number to do anything because you can easily remember it. Once you pass that, it's hard to remember. The 7 desires every single human being has been born with. From the time of Adam alayhi salam until the last human being. And these are what we call the shahawat. And the difference between a shahwa and a hawa. The Quran talks about shahawat. It talks about ahwa. Ahwa are desires. Okay. But shahwa is also translated as desires. Shahwa are better translated as lusts. Or we can call them natural desires. Hawa are very unique desires. But what's the actual core difference? The core difference is that shahawat are created for our subsistence on the earth, for our livelihood, in order to live. And you have to just put it in the right place, and you're going to benefit. However, a hawa is a desire that doesn't bring you any benefit, right? It's ahwa and whims and desires that tend to be more on the abstract side. So a lot of theologies that are wrong, ideologies that are off, are ahwa. They're ideas that don't bring you benefit. They don't benefit you. And at the same time, they're not universal. So that's 2 differences. Shahawat are universal, and they benefit you. They're created to benefit you if you put them in the right lane. Whereas ahwa, you took the sheen off and you took the hawa, right? So shahwa and hawa have similar letters. The hawa doesn't bring you benefit, and it's not universal. So if you were to go back in the time of, let's say, the Hebrew prophets, the ahwa were related to pagan gods, idols. Like the Bani Israel, they loved this idea. They craved the idea of worshiping Baal. And today we look at that as crazy. Like we can't even relate to it. But if you have a man way back thousands of years ago, he can't stop committing zina. We can relate to that, right? Because we have the same desire. So that's the difference between ahwa and shahwat. Now, what is another difference between shahwa and hawa? Hawa, it's something your identity takes on. You take it on yourself, then you make it part of your identity. Shahwa, by everyone's admittance, it's not something I invented. It's something inside of me I can't stop. Okay. So therefore, another person would easily say, I can't control myself when it comes to shahwa, but they'd never blame themselves for a hawa. A hawa is something he personally takes it and makes it part of his identity. Then nobody would come and say, listen, guys, I'm sorry, I can't help myself. I'm a Marxist. I'm created with leftist leanings. I can't do anything about it, right? Nobody says that. No, you took it onto yourself. Whereas a person can easily say, listen, man, I just can't stop drinking. Something inside of me is just driving me to drink. So the shahwa, people openly say that, they'll admit it. Can't control myself. It's something inside me. But the hawa, they won't. Because the hawa is his own invention. Or someone else's invention and he's following along. Okay. So let's talk about these 7, because these 7 are not, these shahawat are not to be destroyed. as many people think. They're not to be pushed away or eliminated from life or squeezed out of existence, starved out of existence. No. You're actually supposed to have them, but fiqh and religion and prophetic teaching shows us where to put it. Okay. So the first one and the number one shahwa of a human being from day one, okay, is hunger. And Malcolm X put it, he asked a bunch of people, what's the greatest desire that a man has? He said, sexual desire. So he said, all right, let's take a man and deprive him of women, water, and food. All right, what's the first thing he's going to do? If you then present him with food and with women, well, he has to eat first. You can't even fulfill your sexual desire if you're starving. If you're weak, you need strength to fulfill that. So that would be the secondary desire. So hunger is a number one. If you didn't have that, we'd all die. If a baby didn't have that, it's the first thing that a baby has is hunger. First thing that Adam alayhi salam, when he's the ruh entered from his top of his head, which we call the nafukh, because this is the location of nafkh, the blowing of the spirit, and then it came down into his mind, and then into his eyes, then into his nose, then he sneezed. When life came into his nose, he had sensation of dust. Then to his mouth, he uttered Alhamdulillah after he sneezed, because it showed that he has adab. It's like built into the laptop. Certain software is built into the laptop. Knowledge and adab was built into him, some knowledge. And then it went down to his throat, and he felt dry. Then it went down into his chest. Then it went into his stomach. Okay, or maybe actually we should say it went into his chest first, then he sneezed and said Alhamdulillah. Because how do you sneeze without air, right? So then when it went to his stomach, it was empty. So he reached for food, but he hadn't got control of his legs yet, so he tripped. He reached, but he couldn't reach, and he fell. Okay. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, just as you are now, your offspring will always rush. They want something before it's time. So hunger is the number one thing. What's the number two shahwa? Lust. Because of lust, we can have children, right? And Allah ta'ala has made lust extremely pleasuresome, almost to the inverse proportion that children are extremely burdensome. Everything about having children is a burden. Well, a lot of it is nice and pleasant and fun, right? But a lot of it's a burden too. Like it alters your life completely. So once a person has a child, first of all, the pregnancy, okay, is all pain. And it's all vomiting, and it's all dizziness, and it's stretch marks, and all sorts of, and then the birth itself, it's torture. If she lives, but back in the old days, you had to check if she lives or not. Back in the old days, the survival of a human being, both man and woman sacrificed their life. Man sacrificed for safety and war and fighting the saber-toothed tiger with a spear, right? And woman sacrificed her life in childbirth, right? And today, childbirth, mostly it's pretty safe, and most of us will never have to go out, at least in our world, we'll ever have to go out and almost die to protect the family. Most of us won't. Like millions upon millions of guys will live their whole life and will never once even get punched by somebody trying to invade your home or something. So on, both of them are gone at this moment in time. It could come back in the future. You don't know. But lust, in order to compensate, if you watch somebody, a woman go through this pregnancy, go through childbirth, most of the time in the moment, she hates the whole thing, hates her husband at that moment in time and says, I'm never having another kid again from this pain. Then the pain continues. Can't sleep. No one's ever sleeping. Now you're fighting because you're both sleep deprived. That's why we're meant to live in small tribes. So at the very least, you get to sleep. And aunts and grandmas, they all took care of newborns and dispersed the responsibility. But today you got one man, one woman, and one baby. How's anyone sleeping? It's actually funny when you have multiple kids and you see a couple stressed over one kid. You're stressed now? Wait, just wait. Okay. Just wait until you have like a newborn and a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. So then time goes on, and now the father eventually starts taking on the bulk of the responsibility because this kid's starting to cost a lot of money, right? So usually it's inverse. Okay, so mother suffers the most when they're young and sacrifices a lot when they're young, and then the father eventually, as the kid gets older, starts talking back, right? Now he's got thousands of dollars of expenses, so now the dad's got to cover that. So most people would say, forget this. I'm not having kids. And a lot of people do. They look at it and say, I'm not having kids. But what is it? The reason they end up having kids? Because they can't avoid the lust. And that's like the number one pleasure for a human being is lust. Even more than food. Food is more necessary, but lust is more pleasure. So without lust, nobody would go and have kids. And probably no one would go and have get married or be accepted in marriage. Right? Do eunuchs go out and get married? No, they don't have any need for marriage, and no one would want them either. Right? The woman has needs too. So that's lust. Now let's get to the third thing. The third thing is anger. The third great desire that people have is anger. And anger, it's likened, they say that if you utter the wrong word, it's like a bull came out of your mouth. Because you can never put a bull back in your mouth, right? So anger is the third greatest passion that people have that can get out of control. And when it gets out of control, it produces fasad, corruption. Right? It destroys everything because you say what you don't mean, you do what you... I wonder how many crimes are committed by completely normal people who just couldn't control their anger for one moment, right? So probably, I would venture to say a good 25% of criminals are not career criminals. They're not habitual criminals. They just probably committed a crime one time because they got angry. So anger, it's has a place though in our religion too, because what is it that protects? Anger is what's its position in our religion? For others, for the deen, and less so for ourselves. Such that if someone were to insult your brother, you got to go and defend him. If someone insult your deen, you got to go and defend your deen. This is what we call ghira. If someone was to go and insult your wife, you got to have anger. A guy who has no anger, right? Then how does he in fact, what does he turn on in order to defend? You got to turn on some emotion. You can't rationally say, okay, I have to go and defend. Even if you think about war, you have to trigger an emotion in order to do what you're about to do. And that's why they used to play drums. The song was very important for war. You can't just rationally say, the land is about to be invaded. We got to defend the border. So we have to run really quick and then get all sorts of swords and arrows in our bodies for the sake of the homeland. No one's going to do that. It has to be with emotion. And that's why the greatest of motivators, they know how to use emotion, right? So you have to use brain and emotion. You got to use both. So my brain says this is justified. Now, in order to actually do it, you need emotion. And so anger is what's going to defend. Anger is what's going to move you to do something that is extremely dangerous. So that's where we put al-ghadab. Ghadab lillah wa rasulihi. And anger in defending your family, etc. So Ahmad DB calls it, Ahmad Damat Barakatuh, he says righteous anger. Yeah, that's what we call it. Some people call it righteous indignation. That's like the formal way if you want to be academic about it. Otherwise, it's anger in the right spot. You're supposed to be angry at certain things. And that emotion has to leave you. All right, next one. If you that emotion, really, anger should not be for ourselves as much as we can. And it shouldn't be out of place. What's the fourth one? Sloth. Laziness. Laziness is a shahwa. Sleep is a desire. Right? Everybody knows that sleep is one of the daily desires that you have to fight. And whoever can't fight it, he can't succeed in life. How are you going to wake up for Fajr? Right? How are you going to wake up? How are you going to move yourself to work? So sleep It's a shahwa. It's a desire and laziness. But it's also a message from your body saying that you got to rest. And sleep is a big issue these days. A lot of people, because of artificial light, screens, their sleep is out of whack. Look at the result the next day is a person can't exercise, needs sugar to survive, needs caffeine just to get through the day. How many people in the United States, and I'd say New York, it's like 100%. This every day there's an element where I just need this cup of coffee and sugar and caffeine to just get through the day. And they always say this, you need to get through the day. Like, why are you so tired? Because we don't sleep properly anymore. We're all messed up with sleep. That's why you go out camping and you'll realize like there's nothing, it's a hassle to stay up. I can't see. I got to keep the fire going. It's like a headache to stay up late. And then you got to do this for a good couple hours. It's a headache. Might as well just go to sleep. I always thought, what would happen if we lost electricity for 4 years? Full reset. 1 year will be complete chaos. Next year will be complete misery. Third year, we start getting into the new order of things. Fourth year, everyone will be happy again. Like we'd be fully reset. Okay? People will be sleeping better. The eyes will look better. The skin would look better. The hair would look, everything would be better. It's all because of our rest. Restfulness is a signal from the body. And our basic rule of thumb is when the sun is rising, you should be awake. When the sun is setting, you should be awake. Sleeping before Maghrib such that you sleep when it's daylight out and wake up when it's dark out. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, if you start losing your mind, don't blame anyone but yourself. Meaning it just gets you off kilt. It's not the time to sleep. Highly makruh time to sleep. Second makruh time to sleep is during the sunrise. So when the light is starting to come out, that's a time for natural human beings to be awake. And Salah, it forces us into this. Forces us to wake up for Fajr. And if you can get up from before the light comes up until when the sun is fully up, that's the most ideal. So that would be tahajjud, a little bit of tahajjud, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before Fajr. Then through all of Fajr, and then past Fajr by 20 minutes, then the sun is fully up. This is what we call ishraq. And that's a time, that is like the best time of the day. Most people who have peace, they live in that, they're awake at that time of the day. Remember, I told this story the other day. The guy who got the satanic book and wanted to see a devil. One of the rules was he can't be awake, he can't see the sun. So to see the sun at the earliest, see the sun when it's setting, it sets your biological clock. And I think Muslims through Salah and the prophetic, highly discouraged, not to say prohibition, but highly discouraged, unless you're sick from or traveling, from taking a nap at the end of Asr into Maghrib. Highly, highly, highly discouraged. Okay, you got to just push through. Then pray Maghrib. Then if you sleep, it's less discouraged. To sleep before Isha is slightly discouraged, but not as badly as end of Asr into Maghrib. Some people think it's about sleeping after Asr. It's not that at all. Let's say you pray Asr at 5:30. Maghrib is at 8:30. You got plenty of time to sleep. The issue is not after Asr. The issue is after, such that when you sleep when it's light out and you wake up when it's dark out. That's the issue. So I think Muslims will have a more modicum of success keeping their biological clock right just because of the prayer times. So sleep is something that if you do too little, it's torture. Okay. And if you do it in the wrong times, it's torture. And if you do too much of it, you're not going to succeed in life. Simple as that. You want to be successful in life, but you're really lazy and you're tired and you're sleeping, then try this. Just get up for Fajr. Do one or two things on your list. One or two things. Preferably something that doesn't require a screen. And then you go back to sleep. Something that doesn't require a screen, if possible. So that's number 4. Let's go to number 5, Ya Alifu. Why don't you number them on the list too, at the top there. The next one is pride. Now we get into 3 abstract things. All right. The next 3 are more on the abstract side. Pride is the next one. Every human being is created with a different level of pride. Okay. And people have different levels of pride based on what they have to be proud about. And the worst of people, they have a negative pride and they don't have any reason to be proud at all. I went to a poor country. I'm not going to say what it is. The people are very poor, but they have a lot of arrogance, pride, bad pride. Not good pride, bad pride. And the guy will make you a sandwich. He'll talk to you the whole time. But the moment he has to serve you, he looks away. And I noticed this is like a trend. Everyone does it. The moment the guy has to give you the product that you're buying, he has to look away from you. It's like, why do you have such pride? Right? This is false pride. So pride has to be in its right spot. You can have pride in its good spot is to be pleased with what Allah gave you. To not allow yourself to humiliate yourself. Sayyidina Ali said, never humiliate yourself. Don't go telling about your sins, talking how bad you are. Don't do this. This is also false humility. False. People think it's taqwa and humility. It's not. Okay. Pride in that respect is good. Pride from begging. That's the good pride that everybody should have. Too proud to beg. Right. Too proud to ask for money. Okay, not talking in business, talking as begging. Too proud to reveal to people that you have needs. Okay, this is called iffa. It's a branch of pride. Al-iffa, okay, is mentioned in the Quran that some people, they don't get sadaqah, you'll never know they're poor. Okay, they're the best people to give sadaqah to when you discover these poor. This is called iffa. It's a branch of pride. Pride is something that it can get you going in life. For example, everybody should want excellence. You know, they always say you should want excellence for your brother, right? Well, aren't you also a Muslim? Aren't you also a creation of Allah? So you should want excellence for yourself too. Why should you be any different? So pride, it has a good spot in that when you see everyone excelling and leaving you behind, don't you have any dignity? And that's why going out in public, Imam Safwan talked about this, so important. Going out in public is really important. You get to see people and they're watching you too. Don't you have a sense of dignity? Like, I got to come out with, I got to be successful. I got to have an appearance. I got to have something, right? I can't accept this for myself. But if you're in your room all day, and today people work from home, order their food, don't even go out, that's not good. There's no comparison happening. There are a lot of bums out there. Just because they had the habit of going out with their friends, they stopped being bums. They became good. Because their friends, what's going on? What's the construction? The TV going in or what? Fixing the door. Okay. So pride also is connected to a ghaira. It's part of that. Like, out of pride, you don't want your deen to be looked at. If you're, let's say, a certain ethnicity, yeah, that's part of your identity. You don't want your country to look to be, have a bad reputation. So these are the good usages of pride. Whereas the bad usages of pride, it's an arrogance, is to desire to be superior to others. Hey, son, man, what happened with the cat? How do you want? Yeah, we need that cat. Because it is maybe 20 minutes away. Oh, you're waiting for me to do these? Oh, okay. Oh, no, why don't you watch? And then if I like it, then publish it. Okay. We're going to do unpacking. What are they calling it? Unboxing. Unwrapping. Mike? Put the Abedin logo up, will you, Alifu, please? All right, let's continue with this. So we all know what bad pride is. The Prophet ﷺ demarcated the edges of bad pride. You refuse to admit to the truth. That's number one. You refuse to admit to the truth. And you look down on people. Beyond that, a good pride, it's that you want to honor yourself. You want to honor your people. You love your lineage. You love your country. And above that, you love your deen. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's normal human pride. That's good pride. Now, what's the sixth one? This is probably could be one of the worst ones, and is always connected to everything. All right, and I would timestamp this: envy. So envy can also be really good, and it could be really bad. So how is envy good? The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, you see a man, he's got knowledge and benefiting from his knowledge and benefiting others. You see a man in poverty, in wealth, and he gives money to those who are suffering poverty. So that's ghibta. It's good envy. And it's I want this good thing and I don't want you to lose it. Envy turns sour when you want someone to lose it. And it causes you now to deny the truth and to deny people's rights, like Iblis. So there was no problem with Iblis loving the fact that he's closest to Allah. That's a gift. Allah gave you that. The problem is now he doesn't want anyone else to be close to Allah. And he disobeys God for his ego. So his envy went beyond its bound. How about envying someone for something halal? I don't want him to lose it, but I want it myself. It's just neutral. It's where that thing is in the Sharia. And it could become a bad quality in a person if it leads to israf. So, for example, our neighbors got a nice white picket fence. We got to get a nice picket fence. They got an above ground pool. Well, we're going to get an in-ground pool. Or they went and got themselves a really nice dog. We're going to get ourselves a nice pet. No, now you're just wasting money. So you just place it on the action in the Sharia. What's the scale of the Sharia for that thing? Right. So, but when it comes to the point that you will deny the truth, disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's a problem. Okay. That's the problem. And that's where the Prophet ﷺ said, it burns all your good deeds. From envy, a person can do so many bad deeds that really he would think to himself, is this person gone crazy? Just out of envy. Recently, there's a woman on death row in Texas, I believe, for committing, she basically, I think she had envy of her friends all having kids. But she chose to have her tubes tied. A stupid decision. By the way, it's unlawful to do permanently disallow yourself from having kids. That's unlawful. It's unlawful because it produces a potential of regret. Now, if you're really old, that's different. Or if you're sick, that's different. There's always exceptions to the rule. But to stop yourself from having kids, she got her tubes tied. That's something you can't undo, and she was 21 years old. That's unlawful for us because it can result in a regret. And it did result in a regret. So it got worse even because she did have an ectopic pregnancy. That means the pregnancy develops in the tube itself. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not a gynecologist. Look it up. You never heard of it? Yeah. So that forced them to actually, an ectopic pregnancy occurs when a fertilized egg implants and grows outside the cavity of the uterus, usually the fallopian tube. Okay. And so she got that, and that forced her to get a full-on hysterectomy, which means complete removal of now her tubes are tied. Now, and hysterectomy, I know for sure she's not having kids. Now, poor woman's like 21 years old. Now she starts seeing her best friends having kids at around that age. I guess she went crazy and got envy. So she faked a pregnancy. She had a boyfriend, she faked a pregnancy. And she got all the fake stomach, fake everything. You can buy this stuff. Fake, all from Amazon. Fake picture of the baby in the ultrasound. Everything fake. Fake doctor's appointments. Fake gender reveal. Everything fake. Now, she thought maybe I can get around it by adopting a baby right at the time I'm supposed to have the baby, right? Well, that didn't work because adoption takes too long. I don't think you adopt infants either. I don't think anyone adopts anyone like you can? Yeah. 2 days old, 3 days old? Yeah. Oh, wow. And they'll take it right away? Yeah. That's usually they make use. Oh, yeah, yeah. So she should have done that, but she ended up not. All right, so what does this person do? This is where envy makes you go crazy. She actually went to one of her people she knew, recent friends, who was pregnant and killed her, opened the stomach, and took the baby out. How crazy is this woman, right? How satanic and demonic can the human being can be because of what? Because of envy. So envy could make a person really, I mean, look at Iblis. Iblis. He has so much direct knowledge. He sees the heavens. He speaks to God. He sees the angel Gabriel. And you know you're not winning a battle against God. Yet he is willing to wage war against God himself out of envy. It's just literally like saying, out of envy, let me drive my car into a brick wall. Out of envy. You were absolute 100% disaster. Drive your car on the brick wall is better. Less, as you die on the spot. This Iblis, he's rajim ila yawmiddin. Until forever he's rajim. Meaning worthy of expulsion. He's mal'oon until forever. And he's going to suffer. He's already suffering internally. And Ali ibn Abi Talib said, stay away from envy because it's the bad deed. It's a bad deed of the heart. That is, in fact, its own punishment. Whereas lust, for example, is a bad deed that at least feels good in the temporary, right? At least you feel good momentarily. But envy, you feel miserable on the inside. And Allah Ta'ala has made it that way because it's so dangerous. So most common people get rid of envy just because it feels bad. And then they get back to the equilibrium of feeling at peace. Most common people, if you ask them, they purify their heart almost in the same way that, self-medication. Like, I just know this is bad for me, so I get rid of it. So that's why envy, you can go on and on and on. It's one of the most dangerous things in the world. Okay. Number 7 is greed. But let me give you one more thing of why envy is beneficial. When you socialize and you see your equals, your colleagues getting better than you, it moves away your laziness. A little bit of envy in the capitalism, Adam Smith, he talked about that, how greed and envy, they are motors, and he's correct about that. They're a motor. It's a motor. It's a little gasoline to get you going. A little bit of envy, you have to know that fine line. It's a very subtle amount that it's very good for you. Because think about this. Why do all industries have clusters? It's like Silicon Valley has a cluster. All the banking and investment banking has a cluster. All the insurances are in Hartford. All the universities are in Boston. Tons of universities up there. It's always the case that industries cluster up. And the reason is the envy brings a good competition. And it's up to them to make it good. It could be really bad. But it's that competition. And so if I'm got a good product out there and it's going well and there's no other competition, then why stop? Now another guy's going to come and says, I want that. And he makes a better product. Now I look at that and I got to compete. Okay. And so that there is a spot where envy is what causes development. When people, you want people to succeed, go out and make them socialize with their peers, because you're not going to allow yourself to sink when everyone else is swimming far and then getting married. And that's why some people do become, they leave society. They can't stand seeing the fact that their peers are surpassing them. So they stop hanging out with their peers. They're going to go hang out with another loser group, lest they don't feel as bad. But that bad feeling is actually good because it keeps you going. Just imagine yourself, you're a little lazy and your friend's industrious. He wakes up a little earlier than you, contacts people older and gets advice, does some more reading, has some concern for his life. Year 1, nothing happens. Year 2, a little bit different. Year 3, a little bit different. There comes a point you can't hang out anymore. Right? You can't hang out anymore. Well, that's a problem. A little bit of good envy should make you catch up. Don't you have any pride? That's where some good pride exists too. Where is your self-honor and dignity? Get up. People who don't have dignity, you know what they do? Like, it's almost mind-boggling. They're like, they reverse it. No, well, the government should pay me. All right. They should create a program for me. Nobody recognizes me, right? And then they start creating, I know I'm generalizing here and a lot of people are going to get upset, but they create fake sicknesses. No, they create fake issues, right? I'm not seen in society, and they find something unique about him to deflect the ability that he can't compete with normal people. So some debilitation. And a lot of people do this. They come up with a fake debilitation. Oh, I have this. I have that, right? And I can't. Or sometimes it's mixed with arrogance. They have no pride, can't handle the fact that they're getting outdone. And so they'll say, like, you know what? I was just too smart for school. It was pulling me down. So I had to drop out. Really? If you're too smart for school, then you probably at some point were getting so many A's, you got so bored, right? So let's see. Isn't that like the common sense reaction? Are you so smart for school? It's pulling me down. It's not challenging enough. Oh my gosh, he's so smart. The school is not challenging, really. So you were sweeping through with straight A's. I think they would have bumped you up a grade, right? But did that ever happen? No, it never happened. It's always C's and D's and F's, and then just because he's unable to, instead of facing the reality. See, this is why some people say, "Oh, have mercy and be kind." The most merciful thing is to look at reality. The most merciful thing is to look at reality as it is. You're lazy. That's the number one for many, many people. I'm not going to say everyone because some people do have issues, right? And even if they don't have issues, but they're coping with it in the wrong way and they get very sensitive about it. So we'll leave you on the side if you get too sensitive about it. But the best reality for mercy for most people is to face reality as it is. I got lazy. I don't study. I stay up late. I eat Cheetos. I play video games. I'm unhealthy. I don't get sun. I don't go out and study with my friends. I don't have any good friends to study with. I don't go get a tutor. I don't have discipline. Okay. How about those realities, which are more concrete than to someone who can't handle the fact that everyone is moving on with life normally and they're not. So let's create a debilitation that becomes my new identity. And now I can show up. Hey guys, it's me. Now I can show up with no job, living in the basement, blah, 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 because I have something to say. What is it? Hey, what's happening? What are you up to? I'm getting married, got a job, I got a raise, and I'm engaged. So I'm about to have a baby. I got a debilitation. Give me 5-6 letters, put them together, right? That's the new syndrome. Oh, poor guy. Go get him a burger. Don't move, right? Poor guy's got this. And then in order to continue this, okay, we got to have a walk. We're going to have hey, where my pin? Where my pin? And come to my walk. Now he's got something. Okay. So honestly, I do believe a lot of things this is the pattern. This is the pattern. And it's rooted in a type of pride mixed with a little bit of can't handle the envy, mixed with laziness, because that's laziness. Hey, hold on. Did you wake up? Did you ever try? Did you sleep early? Wake up, get a tutor, put in 4 hours of studying, right? No, I didn't do any of that. Laziness. So it's pride. And then where else? It's slothfulness. Okay. Just sleeping too much. It's lust and can't stop yourself from eating. Okay. Which is also another reason. So now they have to completely pretend that there is no such thing as an ideal body. Why? Because someone doesn't want to stop eating, right? But the first moment that Ozempic comes out, you went and got it. So wait a second. What is it? Is it that there's no body, there's no actual objective measure or beauty, or is it? You know, it's like that's what happened. So for a whole decade, they said, don't promote any ideal beauty because you're going to make people feel bad. I agree with that on another basis completely, but I don't say that there isn't an ideal. There is an ideal. Cover it up so you don't hurt other people's feelings, but there is an ideal. Okay. When you go to let's say we're all just a bunch of guys at the swimming pool. Some of us taking the shirt off, some of us not, right? And the guys who don't, only out of respect out of religious teaching and some mercy to the guys who keeping their shirt on, right? But there's a reason for this. So there is an ideal of beauty. You can't deny that. For a whole decade, they said there's no ideal beauty. Everything's beautiful. Okay, fine. Now Ozempic comes out, everyone buys it. Why then? You just negated the ideal. If there is no ideal beauty, then stay as you are. Don't go and get Ozempic. Yeah. And then gets the answer. Oh no, I don't actually. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's going both ways. So, hunger can't stop the hunger. So all right, now let's move on to the yeah, mic on. So there's an evolution of envy that can fade into despair, because they have a fundamental misunderstanding of Allah's qudra, that the state they're in can't be changed, or the state can't. Yep. Because they believe Allah can't state and make a better state that they're in. So how can envy could also evolve into kufr? Say that Allah is in changing my state. Yep. And some people fall into that. What would you say? That is a religious issue, and you literally have to believe in qudra. That's the pillar. Now, some people say they're more nuanced. They say, yes, I believe in qudra, but I believe that Allah will not help me because of my sins. That it's not that Allah cannot help me. He won't help me because of my sins. So in that is something called at-ta'alli ala Allah, meaning, are you basically telling us what you know about God? Are you saying something that's false about God because you don't know that? So you're speaking ignorance. Because Allah Ta'ala, He can help people and will help people out of generosity, even when they feel that they don't deserve it. Why? Because so they'll be grateful later. And so many people, I guarantee you, many people, they say, I don't know why Allah helped me. I wasn't being good. I wasn't praying on time. I was doing a lot of things, but Allah helped me. So now I feel like I have to actually help people. So I don't know why Allah helped me. Why did Allah choose me over all of these other people? Now I have to do something good. So sometimes that's a reality too, that Allah will help a person who is undeserving of the help in their eyes right now, because Allah knows later on, Allah Ta'ala, that person will desire to help other people. Let's go to the seventh one. And probably if I was to make this list over, I would have swapped. I would have put envy last because it's so bad. But greed is the next one. All right. Greed is the next one. Greed has a benefit to it. It does have a benefit to it. How could you do business, separate between business and charity? Okay. In Sharia, by religious law, we define business or a contract, a business contract, as aqd mabni ala shuh. It's a contract in which both sides understand I'm trying to get the most out of you and give you the least. We all get that. So when we come to the table, we all understand this. Okay. And it's so funny. Sometimes kids don't understand this stuff. And like in competition, I once saw two girls playing, and one girl left crying, upset at the other one. So when somebody asked her, what's going on? Why are you so upset? What did you do to what happened to you? What did she do to you? She keeps scoring on me, right? She's not letting me score. So she confused. Some people are not built for competition. She confused between competition and like sharing fun. So we don't confuse between business and charity. Every giving in the Sharia, in the Islamic law, has a category. It's amazing. So when you give something to somebody, it has a category, and it can't be both. It cannot be both. You can't say it's a loan and it's a payment. For example, here, take $500 and give me your bike. But if you can't give me your bike, then just give me the 500 back. Wait, hold on a second. What is it now? And if you can't even pay me back, then don't even worry about it. Whoa, now you brought in sadaqah. Okay. So there's every single, even what's the difference between sadaqah and a gift? A gift, it's known that I'm trying to have interest with you in the world. Like I want a relationship with you. So that's why gifts are actually given openly. Right? You go to someone's house, hey, we bought you this nice vase, look at it, open it, look at it, hope you enjoy it. Okay? Um, gifts are given openly. Sadaqah, you don't want something from the person at all. You want your reward from Allah. And of course, in gift giving, you do want something from the other person, a relationship with the other person, and you want your reward from Allah too. Right? But you also do want a relationship with this person. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, tahaddu wa tahabbu. Give gifts to one another so it increases your love between each other. Okay. So greed, when you're doing a deal, you're expecting to get most of the deal. There's nothing wrong with that. And a little bit of greed will make a person go the extra mile to make more money. And a lot of religious people, they get this wrong. A lot of religious people, they say, like, can I advertise my services? Right? And put my face up and say, here, come to the best dentist in the world or whatever. Or as we have here, Ocean Retina. Only the old school live stream viewers will remember Ocean Retina, right? But you have to you can. The ruling on that is, even from the perspective of humility and Sufism and Tasawwuf and spirituality, is completely permitted. To go out, put your services here, A+ plumber, whatever. And your face is there and you're claimed to be the best plumber in the town. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? So it's greed that has a little bit of good. Now, why is it good? Because we have an example of the Prophet, the story of, it's a story, I don't know how sound it is, but Ayub, alayhi salam, Prophet Ayub. At the time when he was very wealthy, he had the best wife, the best kids, the best land, the wisest man, everyone loved him. Okay. Then he came upon a horde of golden locusts made of gold. So he starts grabbing these locusts and putting them inside of his bag. So then Allah spoke to him and said, oh, Ayub, have I not given you so much wealth? Why do you take these locusts? Ayub said, oh Allah, when you offer something, it has to be taken. That's from the adab of Allah, and the type of greed of the Salihin is that when Allah offers you something, you got to take it. That's an offering from the Creator. They view everything as from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right? Lawful and halal rizq, you got to take it. All right? So greed, obviously we all know where it goes off the mark, where it leads to oppression and it leads to gluttony and all these other things. But what about the opposite? I'm telling you, many religious people fall in the opposite. And they suddenly have no impetus to make money, no impetus to go out there and be a go-getter. They think business is haram. They think trade and tijara is haram. And then they get surpassed in life. It's false religious teaching, right? So Imam Abu Hanifa himself, very famously, he was a great merchant. Abu Huraira himself, when Umar bin Khattab made Abu Huraira the governor of Bahrain, then Abu Huraira would go out into the marketplace and trade and stuff, and he came back to Medina for governor's meeting, and he had nice clothes on, nice horse. Abu Huraira, you're one of us. You're in Medina for a long time. You're not rich. How are you rich? Abu Huraira says, I know you're going to ask me. All halal trade. I'm not taking from zakah. I'm not taking any money that doesn't belong to me. Halal trade. Umar says, okay, question for you. Do you send someone out to anonymously trade for you? He says, nope, I do it myself. He said, oh, so then all the merchants said, yeah, let's make a deal with the governor, right? There's a lot to benefit when you deal with the governor, right? So all this is haram. And he said, what did you have when you left 2 years ago? That's all you're keeping. Everything else, Bayt al-Mal. So Abu Hurairah had to go back to Bahrain, took all that money, put it away, okay? And then he handed in his resignation. Umar bin Khattab gets it. Abu Hurairah, we need you there, right? I want you to be the governor. Abu Hurairah said, I want to make money. I need to make some money. I can't keep taking away my tijara. I need to do tijara. So here you have a Sahabi who understands the deen. There is no prohibition in the love of halal trade. And there are guys, they've left off sports and they trade. Right? They build businesses, they invest, and they do all that stuff. And even you need a guild, or you need teaching for the very wealthy. They need teaching. They need to be taught the harms and the benefits. And I would say like this, I would put it like this. You can have the best stuff, you can have a very big house, but you should never have a lot of stuff. Because the Quran says, Alhaakum at-takathur. So you can have the best and biggest house, but it doesn't have to be filled with stuff, right? Here's a $15,000 painting. There's a $100,000 painting over there. There's like a ancient vase that we got from Rome. You're filling with stuff. It gives the feeling of permanence. Okay. Gives the feeling of permanence. Whereas emptiness gives the feeling of that it's temporary. Itinerance. We're passing through this hayat ad-dunya, right? We're passing through it. And so that's much better. It's way better to have that feeling. Allah says, Alhaakum at-takathur. What destroyed you? Getting a nice house? No, the Prophet permitted getting nice stuff. What destroyed you? Having a big house? No, the Prophet himself said, if Allah gives you wealth, make your house big for your family. Let them feel at ease. Why cram them up? Then they'll want to leave the house. Now, what destroyed you? At-takathur. I got 10 cars. I got 15 watches. Someone wants me to address the issue with the guys collecting watches. They say it's an investment. Is it an investment? Then if you wear it and it gets buffed up, what happens? But point being is takathur, this is not our way, right? Because the Quran tells you it will destroy you. So every time something comes in, something's got to go out. And that was the way of many of the Sahaba. And Abdurrahman bin Auf would always reset himself. New money come in, something's going out. Okay. All right. That's the end of that segment of the 7 desires, and that you have to have these 7 desires. And I like to liken them to our home. Can you have a home without electricity? Can you have a home without gas? Can you have a home without water? But can your cords of your electricity be loose, or do they have to be all closed? Can your water pipes have any looseness in them? Can your gas have issues? Okay. So if any of these 3 are off the mark, not in their proper pipes, the house is going to blow up. Okay. All right. Let's close this segment out. Let's look at how we doing on time. 2:30. Okay. All right. Let's read a little bit. One saying of Prophet Isa bin Maryam. The disciples said, "Oh, Isa bin Maryam," this is narrated in Imam Ahmad's book of Zuhd. "Christ of God, Masihullah, look at the house of God, how beautiful it is. Look at the temple. Look how beautiful the temple is." Prophet Isa says, "Ameen, Ameen. Truly I say to you, God will not leave one stone of this temple upon one another, but will destroy it utterly because of the sins of its people." And that prophecy happens. Who's the one who did it? Titus, in the year 70 AD. God does nothing with gold, silver, and stones. You think this is matters in the sight of God? This house filled with gold and silver and nice stones and nice marble? More dear to God than all these are the pure in their heart. Purity of heart. Right. Through them, God builds up the earth or else destroys it if these hearts are other than pure. All right. Purification of a person's heart. It's something that's said often, but it needs a lot more time than we give it. All right. I would even say for us, a lot of people, purity of heart when it comes to religious knowledge, when it comes to religious practice. Like, why are you doing this? It's just to join a team, to join a club, so people could say that you understood properly, so people could point at you. So you could put down other people. Like, what is your real benefit? What is your real purpose in doing this? Okay. All right, let's read a little bit from Al-Ayn wal-Athar. We're reading here from Athari Hanbali Aqidah, and we should say Athari Hanbali. Athari is the category, the approach, and Hanbali is the type, because not all Athari Aqaid are the same. They have so many differences in between. Kalam, not all Kalam is the same. Some is heretical, some is in line with the Sunnah. But the purpose of Kalam, which is to refute heretics, and show that there's no rational inconsistencies within our beliefs, that's the purpose of Kalam. Athar is simply to list what the first three generations had said, okay, in their aqidah and in their belief. So Kalam must start at the ending point of Athar, because they can't contradict the Athar. And that's what Abu Hasan al-Ash'ari said. He says, we begin where Ahmad ibn Hanbal stops. Like, we don't pass his limits. So let's go on to Al-Bab al-Awwal, which is, where is it? Page 9 of this book, which you can get from Amazon. Go to John Starling's page and you can get it from there. Okay. في معرفة الله فتجب معرفة الله تعالى شرعا ومما ورد في الشرع النظر في الوجود والموجود على كل مكلف قادر وهو أول واجب لله تعالى. The first obligation we have towards God is to know him, to know he exists. One guy said to me, what's the bare minimum I need to enter Islam and to join, to be a Muslim? And he was talking about it as if it's a club he's joining. I said, don't look at it like that. Say it's God's right you're giving him. You have eyes, you got a stomach, the sun's out, you can move, you can talk, you can walk. Did anyone charge you? Do you get a bill for that? No, God gave it to you as a gift. The very least you have to say is admit that he exists and he's worthy of worship, and that Muhammad is his last and final messenger. Why do you have to, you can't believe in God without testifying to prophethood? Why? How do you even know Allah's name without prophethood? Okay. So your very definition of Allah comes through the teaching of the Prophet. And the Quran comes through the Prophet. The book didn't just come down from the heavens. Allah himself does not come down into his creation and give us a book. So it comes through something. So there's no basis on ever believing in God, as Allah, the transcendent with all his attributes, unless you already also believe in prophets and angels, because they're the ones who, and his books, because they're the ones who tell you about Allah. You wouldn't be able to know about Allah otherwise. So he says here, you have to investigate in your mind and know that Allah exists. And that's your first religious obligation. Okay? And he says here, the first and the greatest blessing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you able to know him. Because animals don't have this quality. They have a knowledge of God, of their creator, in a different way. Otherwise, how are they making tasbih? وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ. There's not a thing except praises Allah in its own way. Even particles, plastic, shay, anything that qualifies as a shay, it has some awareness of God and praises God in some way, but not at the level of the human. Okay? So life has different levels. That's why I can pluck an apple and eat it without having to say, Bismillah, I pluck the apple. Bismillah, I cut it. You say Bismillah as a recommendation, as a sunnah, I mean. But when I slaughter a chicken, it has to be Bismillah. So a Hindu can pluck an apple and give it to me, I can eat it, right? But he can't slaughter an animal. An atheist cannot slaughter an animal, I can't eat it. Why? Because with an animal, you're taking a life. So to say Bismillah, you're essentially saying, I'm only doing this because Allah permitted it, right? I'm eating and I'm slaughtering it in the way he commanded. So that's why you cannot eat an animal unless God's name is mentioned, because it's saying, I'm doing this. Of course, we're doing it because we want to eat, right? But because Allah permitted it. Because the Creator allowed us to do this. As opposed to someone who doesn't believe in God, he's eating because he's at the top of the food chain. That's it. He's not seeking anyone's permission or respecting the creator of this animal. So when we say Bismillah, it's yes, I am killing this and I'm going to consume it, but I'm respecting its creator. And my respect for the creator is to mention his name, and also not only to mention his name, but also to do it in the manner in which Allah permitted. Okay, which is cutting the neck. And then there are sunan, which are don't let see the knife. There are these things won't necessarily invalidate, but you're leaving a lot of reward on the table. Okay, so if you were to show it the knife and you were to hack away and do it in an ugly way, it would still be halal, but you'd be sinful for that, and you'd leave off a lot of blessings. So we have the ability. So أول نعم الله الدينية وأعظمها أن أقدره على معرفته, is that Allah, He gave us the ability to know Him. Okay. والشكر المنعم واجب شرعا, to thank Him is obligatory. How do we thank Him? الاعتراف, right? Recognizing that it's a blessing from Allah. على جهة الخضوع. How? By being humble. Okay. And recognizing all blessings are from Him. ويجب الجزم بأنه تعالى واحد. And then you have to know, not by somebody told you, not by transmission only, not by transmission, by yourself. You have to be fully convinced, not by taqleed. Yes, in a sense, there's going to be transmission, but not taqleed is what I meant to say. Not taqleed. That there's one God. So someone's asked you, how many gods are there? One God. I worship Allah, one God. But why? Because the whole tribe does. Then that's not accepted iman. Okay? That's not accepting iman. ولا ينقسم أحد لا من عدد فرد صمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Okay, so obligatory to affirm with certainty that the exalted is never fragmentable nor divisible. He is ahad. He is one in himself. And the attributes of Allah are not different entities. Okay, they're not different entities. They're different descriptions of one, because the Christians like to say this. You say 3 in 1, or you got 99 in 1. And you say, no, you affirm the Son and the God and the Holy Spirit as 3 different entities. Each one can speak. Each one has its own identity to itself. We don't say that the 99 names are that. Okay, the 99 names are, and there's more, by the way, than 99. Just 99 are special. The attributes of Allah Ta'ala are descriptions of His essence. وبأنه تعالى عالم بعلم. He is all knowledgeable. Okay, with one single pre-eternal everlasting intrinsic knowledge. So unlike our knowledge, which is you learn something here, you learn something there, then you combine it up. So He has one singular knowledge. And all knowledge is by definition in accord with reality, because He's the creator too. Okay? He created what there is to be known. And His ilm does not undergo renewal as things come into existence. So He doesn't learn something new every day. As some people have fallen into a heresy, is that His knowledge is always renewing, right? It's always renewing. Is always learning something new every day. It's always increasing. No, not at all. Okay. His knowledge is not daruri, self-evident that He figured something out. How could He figure out what is knowable? This is creation. Okay. And nor does He put any effort, nor does He have to derive inferences to know anything. Therefore, we never say that Allah thinks. So He has knowledge, but He does not think, because thinking indicates ignorance. You didn't know something, now you're thinking about it. Okay, you're thinking about it, and so you have to gain it. So that's why you'll never find that God is smart, God is thinking, God is intelligent. Why? Because all those things entail that knowledge is gained through effort, and that the fact that it's gained indicates that you're actually trying to learn, or you don't know something. Why would you need to gain knowledge if you know everything already? وَبِأَنَّهُ قَادِرٌ. What's the next attribute of divinity? Is a qudra, ability. بِقُدْرَ واحدة. It's one qudra, unlike ours. If you're lifting something, you use your arms, you use your legs, right? You'll use different things. So he's all-powerful qadir through one single qudra, which is existent, everlasting, pre-eternal, and intrinsic, and relates to everything possible. So what does he mean by relates to everything possible? Meaning things that are irrational do not relate to divine qudra. So nobody could say, all right, can God create a rock that he can't lift? So those are, you're asking about two opposite things. Is he able to be unable? Because you said this is an unliftable rock. Or unliftable rocks don't even exist anyway. Unliftable to whom? So rocks have to have measures. How many kilograms? How many pounds? Right? And that measure by necessity will be finite. There's no such thing as infinitely heavy rock. Second, you're assuming that God lifts. Does God have to go and take an action of lifting? If Allah wants a rock to be somewhere else, he could just put it in that other place. Or you can not say, for example, can God make a triangle that has 5 sides? Because now you've reversed the words. You said triangle. Now you negated triangle. So you're speaking nonsense. Okay? You're speaking nonsense. And so that's why he says, وبأنه قادر بقدرة واحدة وجودية باقية قديمة ذاتية متعلقة بكل ممكن. That is connected to every rationally possible thing. This is not kalam only. Here you have the Hanabila saying the same aqidah. All right. فلم يوجد شيء في الماضي ولا يوجد في المستقبل إلا بها. Nothing can exist past, present, or future except through divine ability, divine power. And divine ability, qudra, he's able to do something. His willingness to do it does not mean he's pleased with it. Okay. Next one will be أنه. Hello? Walaikum salam. Yep. From who? Okay. Yeah, I'll call you. I'll call you afterwards, inshallah, in a little bit. Okay. All right. Something like. Last time we got someone wanted to take the shahada, so that's why I have to pick up the phone. You never know who wants to take the shahada. You got to give it to him right away, because delaying the shahada equals rida bil kufr. You're content. You're accepting disbelief. Shahada has to be given immediately. We continue reading from Al-Ayn wal-Athar, Hanbali an Athari Aqidah book. وبأنه مريد بإرادة واحدة. He has a will with one will. وجودية قديمة ذاتية باقية متعلقة بكل ممكن. Also his will is connected to every rationally possible thing. وبأنه تعالى حي بحياة واحدة. وجودية قديمة ذاتية باقية. He is alive with one life. What does our life consist of? Consists of this minute and the next minute and yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. Okay. And it's based upon needs. Need air, needed a mom, needed a dad. وبأنه تعالى سميع بصير بسمع وبصر قديمين ذاتيين. Within himself, he hears and he listens. متعلقتين بكل مسموع ومبصر. That are connected to things that are hearable and seeable. Okay. All right. So he does not hear with an organ. We need to hear with an organ. Without an organ, we can't hear. بأنه تعالى قائل. And also you can't connect the hearing to something that's not hearable. Right? So what is the sound of red? Silly question. Right? What's the color of 5? Silly question. Right? So that's why he says متعلقين, connected بكل مسموع ومبصر. These attributes are only connected to that which is hearable and seeable. وبأنه تعالى قائل ومتكلم بكلام قديم ذاتي وجودي غير مخلوق ولا محدث ولا حادث بلا تمثيل ولا تشبيه ولا تكييف. And he speaks. And Allah Ta'ala he says and he speaks through speech that is pre-eternal, intrinsic, and existent, not created, not originated, not temporally emergent. And he does so without any resemblance to the creation, nor likening, nor modality. وَالْقُرْآنُ كَلَامُ اللَّهِ, the Quran is Allah's speech, وَوَحْيُهُ وَتَنْزِيلُهُ, and it's his revelation and is what he brought down, مُعْجِزٌ بِنَفْسِهِ, miraculous in and of itself. لِجَمِيعِ الْخَلْقِ غَيْرَ مَخْلُوقٍ, and it is uncreated. وَلَا حَالٍ فِي شَيْءٍ, nor does his reside in anything. وَلَا مَقْدُورٍ عَلَى بَعْضِ آيَةٍ مِنْهُ. وَلَا مَقْدُور is not مَقْدُور, meaning is not created, nor inherent in anything, and not even a portion of a single verse can be replicated. So whoever says the Quran is مخلوق, فَمَنْ قَالَ أَنَّ الْقُرْآنَ مَخْلُوق أو محدث أو حادث. If you say it's created, or it originated, or it's temporal, or وقف فيه شاكا, or he has a doubt about it, or ادعى قدرة أحد على مثله, and you say that somebody can replicate it, it's a kafir. ومن قال لفظي بالقرآن مخلوق أو القرآن بلفظي مخلوق فإن كان يدعو إليه ويناظر عليه فهو محكوم بكفره بنص أحمد رضي الله عنه على ذلك صريحا في مواضع. And he says here, whoever says my utterance of the Quran is created, or the Quran by my utterance is created, then if he's calling to that and debating in its favor, then he is judged based upon its disbelief. Right? And Imam Ahmad radiallahu anhu has declared this explicitly in numerous places. Okay? If he is merely imitating, then he's an open sinner and a fasiq, as stated by our Sheikh Mansur al-Buhuti in his Marginalia on al-Muntaha al-Iradat. And in meaning, in his commentary on this, on his authored work in the chapter on shahadat, or testimonies. Yeah. He says here, وَمَنْ قَالَ لَفْظِي بِالْقُرْآنِ غَيْرُ مَخْلُوقٍ فَهُوَ مُبْتَدِعٌ. And whoever says my utterance is not created, then he's an innovator. Okay, so the issue is on the utterance. Why is that? Because it could cause a person to think that the Quran itself is created. Right? And if you say it's not created, then you're saying that your action is uncreated, then that also is a bid'ah too. In the Hanbali Athari Aqidah. وبسندنا لأحمد رضي الله عنه أنه سئل عن من قال لفظي بالقرآن غير مخلوق فمن قال هو فهو جهمي وقال جوابا لسائل آخر عن هذا السؤال لا يصلى خلف قائله ولا يجالس ولا يكلم ولا يصلى عليه. And he says to Imam Ahmad, he who asks about someone who says my utterance of the Quran is not created, then he says that is the Jahmi. If you said my utterance is not created, and he replied, whoever says that is a Jahmi, in response to another person who says whoever says this, you don't pray behind them, nor speak to them, nor pray over them. فالواجب الكف عن هذه العبارات وشبهها لكف السلف عنها. So they said, remember the Athari creed is looking at where do we put our footsteps. That's it. So they said here, none of the Salaf talked about what's the utterance versus the Quran, because that's the whole reason this became a debate. And some people said, well, it's ink on paper and words that are uttered. So some answered it, and some, like Imam Ahmad, said stay away from it altogether. لكف السلف عنها, because the predecessors never discussed it. لما فيها من الإيهام وسيأتي الكلام على هذا, because it could be confused. There could be confusion around it. And then he says we're going to discuss this in a later chapter. Okay. It could be misleading. A full discussion on the matter comes later in the treatise. And this is the main subject matter of ikhtilaf between the Hanabila and the Maturidiyya and the Ash'ari. And he says here, we will discuss what the Ash'ari settled on, okay, on this matter. Last section here. ويجب الجزم بأن الله تعالى ليس بجوهر ولا جسم ولا عرض. It is an obligation to believe that Allah Ta'ala is not an independent substance or the smallest possible thing, jawhar, nor is he a body, nor is he a property of a body. That's what a jawhar is. A jawhar is the smallest possible material thing. A jism is many, many material things, many jawhars put together, two or more, a body of things. Even our soul, it's a jism, but it's jism latif. Our soul, or the angels, let's say, has a top and a bottom, right and a left, front and a back. even if it's very subtle. Even the waves that are traveling through the air that we can't see, they're ajsam latifa. Okay. Otherwise, how are you blocking it? You can block it. You can manipulate it. So that's what a jawhar is, the smallest possible thing. A jism is two or more of those things. And a arad is a property of those things. Speed, color, size, etc. وَلَا تَحُلُّهُ الْحَوَادِث. Nothing enters into him. Nothing can be inside of God. وَلَا يَحُلُّ فِي حَادِث. Nor does God ever enter into a thing. So he doesn't enter inside of his creation. Okay. وَلَا يَنْحَصِرُ فِيهِ فَمَنْ اعْتَقَدَ أَوْ قَالَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِذَاتِهِ فِي مَكَانٍ فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ. He says here, nor is God ever contained by anything. So whoever believes that Allah with his essence is in a place is a kafir. Okay? Is in a makan is a kafir. Rather, it must be determined that he is distinct from his creation. He existed when there was no place, then created place, while remaining as he was before creating it. Okay? بل يجب الجزم. He must believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is بائن من خلقه. He is completely transcended beyond his creation. فكان ولا مكان. He existed and there was no place. ثم خلق المكان. Then he created place. وهو كما كان قبل خلق المكان. And he is now as he was before he created locations and place. ولا يعرف بالحواس ولا يقاس بالناس. He cannot be known by your senses nor human analogy. Okay? How could you make an analogy to something that has no time and place? Right? Is transcendent beyond all time and all place and all matter. فهو الغني. He is absolutely independent. Of course, if he was in a place, he'd be dependent on that place. If he was in time, he'd dependent on time. If he was of matter, he'd be dependent on the matter. I said, فهو الغني. He is absolutely independent. عن كل شيء, from all things. ولا يستغني عنه شيء. Okay? And nothing is independent of him. ولا يشبه شيئا ولا يشبهه شيء. He resembles nothing and nothing resembles him. Okay? Again, we're reading from Al-Ayn wal-Athar, translated by Sheikh John Starling, and the book itself is by Abdul Baqi al-Ba'li. Last section here, وعلى كل حال مهما خطر بالبال أو توهم الخيال فهو بخلاف ذي الإكرام والجلال. Anything that comes onto your mind, image of God that comes in your mind, he is other than that. Okay. فيحرم تأويل ما يتعلق به تعالى. All interpretations about God, ta'wil and tafsirs, explanations about God himself are forbidden. They forbid all these interpretations about these divine attributes. كآية الاستواء, such as the verse of his istiwa and the hadith of his nuzul. And غير ذلك من آيات الصفات. So all divine attributes, the mutashabihat, that would appear to put God in a location or in a movement, right? Then he says we don't make we don't try to interpret it or explain it. Okay? إلا بصادر عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أو بعض أصحابه, except what the Prophet said and the Sahaba said. Okay. وهذا مذهب السلف قاطبة فلا نقول في التنزيه كقول المعطلة. So we avoid going to excess in transcendence, as the Mu'attila said. He said they're not attributes at all. بل نثبت, rather we affirm. ولا نحرف ونصف ولا نكيف. We affirm and we don't alter. ونصف, and we describe and we don't try to say, give it a how or a physical reality. والكلام في الصفات فرع عن الكلام في الذات. And to speak about the mutashabihat, the attributes of God, is no different than, it's a branch from speaking about his essence. And our madhab is that his essence, all right, or he says here, from madhabuna haqqun, our madhab is the truth between two falsehoods, and it is guidance between two misguidances. Wahuwa, and that is affirmation of the asma and sifat, of the names and attributes, مع نفي التشبيه والأدوات, while negating tashbih, anthropomorphism or likening God to the creation, and adawat or instruments, namely that, for example, instruments by which, limbs or instruments, adawat. Okay, we stop here. We'll pick up from this book, inshallah ta'ala, again next time we read, and we'll open up for Q&A now. Oh, we have to do this unpacking. Right. Let's see what we got here. All right, first shirt. All right, here's our firstly, if you I don't know if you can enlarge this, but here's our this is the ArcView logo. The classes we teach online are called ArcView. We do it under a brand called ArcView, or a sub. And ArcView, this brand here, it's the anchor, because that's what knowledge does. It anchors us. Okay, and how are we anchored? Through the chain of transmission, and that's why the chain is there. I can't seem to get this right. Okay. And then the pen, the bottom of it's a pen, and the top of it's a minaret. Clever, right? Yeah, we had a very clever designer. So the bottom of it is a pen, and the top of it is a minaret. Right, and it symbolizes anchoring ourselves in knowledge through the chain of transmission. So those are the 4 pieces of symbolism that's the first shirt. Okay. Okay. Second one. I like this one actually more. Black and white version. Looks like these are small for L's. You mean you probably wear an L, but it looks small, right? All right. Third version. It's like a casual type of t-shirt with the little blue anchor. Okay. Fourth version. All right, so this is going to be a tee with a big anchor. Oh, it's a long sleever for women with the big anchor. Yeah, that's big. So you got the big anchor here. So Salman, if you're watching this, probably maybe the anchor, should it come up a little, or is that good? Yeah, that's good. So it's a really nice, thick and plush material, probably really good for the fall. Okay. I like this one. Blue on white is up next. All right, here's blue on white. Long sleever for women. I guess guys might want to wear that one too. But you got a better look at the logo here, where it's a minaret with the chain of transmission and the pen, and the anchor doubles as a book. You see, like it's like an open book. All right. Let's see what this one is. Looks like a T. And this is the same thing with the t-shirt version. All right, guys, go to town. Take it and pass it on. See if it fits you. It's yours. Keep one for me. All right, now we got the reverse of this casual looking tee with the anchor on the shoulder. A lot of options here. All right, what do we have here? Regular, this is a classy one. Regular tee with the little blue anchor. Can't go wrong with that. I don't know if it's going to fit you guys, although it says large. And here, white anchor on a black tee. All right, you guys get to take these. Elif, pass it down to Elif, and the cost is to take care of the trash. All right, let's go to the Q&A. Oh, there's one more? Okay, one more. Let's take a look at this one. Here you go. Look at this. Full t-shirt with big anchor on the chest. Yeah. All right, here we go. Hold on. Only thing. All right, let's go to the Q&A here. What do you recommend for Aqidah book, Tahawiyya or al-Barahin? Tahawiyya, I recommend Tahawiyya with a commentary though, not just Tahawiyya by itself. You need it with a video, preferably a video. Have somebody who is listening to it. Sheikh Asrar Rashid has one. Sheikh Hamza Maqbool has one. All right, let's see what's going on in TikTok. Of course, debating theology or what? Yeah, this is the guy who got cooked by M24. Who's M24? Who is M24? You know M24? Huh? Who is M24? Really? Look, that's but Allah is the creator of time. Yeah. That weird. That's Hanbali and Athari Aqidah. Yeah. That's what they follow. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, Ajib. Okay. I guess Sheikh al-Ba'li is a Jahmi then. I guess Abdul Qadir Jailani would be a Jahmi too, if that's what it is. If it's saying that Allah Ta'ala is transcendent beyond time and place, then that puts most of the Athari and Hanbalis in that category too. So I guess that's good company to be in. Is it true the early Ahnaf allowed shurb? Well, no, the Hanafis, maybe you're talking about nabith, which is a middle category between mood altering, but not mind altering. That's what nabith is. It's mood altering, but not mind altering. How they would ferment the fruit at a certain spot, a sweet spot that made you happy, like coffee almost, but not mind altering. And they debated that, whether it's permitted or not. But Sufyan al-Thawri used to work selling nabith because it became like a science to get the fruit right at the right fermentation, that it's not mind altering, so you don't get drunk from it, but it is slightly mood altering. Okay. All right, can you invite Sheikh Asrar and Sheikh Muhammad Amin? I think he means Amin Muhammad, and Harun Kanch. What is the best way to embrace a waiting period? Do you mean a waiting period of a woman after divorce? Is that what you're asking? Or some other waiting period. I can't make out which one they mean. How long does must a person remain in Muzdalifah in Hajj? Just a pit stop, like the same amount of time between two sujood. And how do we get that? Because the Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told some people, go, stay a little bit, then go. But he himself stayed until Fajr. So that's how we have in Hajj, the Prophet made Hajj by telling certain people what to do and himself doing. That's how we separate between a fard and a sunnah in Hajj. Is occupation inability insurance permissible? No, that's not one of the dire needs. What is the aqidah regarding Allah, seeing Allah on the Day of Judgment? Let's say we will see him just with eyes that are new, unlike these eyes, as Imam Malik said. And you see him without, not like the way you see a body, because we negated jism for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's the best way to repent? To regret your good deeds, your bad deeds, to have a lot of regret for them, and then keep the company or stay away from the things that triggered your bad deeds. So most people commit bad deeds because some group, some company sort of triggers it for them. Stay away from them. That's why the man who killed 99, his famous story, that man, the hadi for him, the guidance for him was to leave these people who obviously they're not just that they're triggering you, Okay. They're not triggering you. It's not that. It's that they couldn't even stop you. Like they should have stopped you. So these are no good people. You kill and nobody does anything. All right, we'll go to TikTok. Bid City says, do Ahl Sunnah affirm kayfiyya to the sifat? No, they negate kayfiyya. And what they mean by kayfiyya is any physical reality. Any physical reality. Okay. What do you want the Sunnis to support Iran? Why can't we be neutral between two shaitans? That's to assume that that they're equal. They're not equal. Anytime you have two harms, you have let's say they were both kuffar, right? Big kafir causing a lot of damage, little kafir causing very little damage. Which one are you going to support? And you want the small one to stop the big one, right? Just take the deen out of it. Hypothetically, just take the whole deen out of it. Okay. The only time that you can never support one over the other is if one is a Muslim and the other is a kafir. Your support for the Muslim is to stop him from oppressing, not to support his enemy. That's how you support him. Stop him from oppressing. So that's not supporting either side's belief. What you're supporting in terms of this, you're supporting what is less harmful. Okay. If you have any ability, and by the way, we don't have any ability. We just have sentiments, one way or the other. Who do you hope to win? Well, we hope for the least harm. You want a whole Zionist empire, or you want it to be slowed down and altered or decreased? That's what those are your two options. That's it. Those are your two options. Which one do you want? Okay. I want to stay out of it. Okay. Well, you can stay out of it because you're not having an impact anyway. You can say I have no desire. How could you have no desire? Don't you have to actually, at least in your heart, desire the lesser of two harms, at the very least. Okay. So it has nothing to do with Sunni. It has to do with the common sense of harm that's big and harm that's small. That's it. Yeah. How does someone who struggles with salah become consistent in prayer? I essentially reverted almost 2 years ago, yet I barely pray and it's eating at me. I feel a lot of shame. I tell people who are just learning how to pray, hang out with people who pray because they'll always remind you to pray. Okay. That'll make your life easier. All right. Ahmed Dabat Barakatu or sorry, Kinetic is, I guess they're talking to each other. Right. All right, what else we got here? When bathing, kids are washing rugs or clothes with najasa. The water splashes everywhere, no matter how hard I try to avoid it. Are those splashings dirty? Well, the bath in which they're in, are you assuming now that they're urinating in the bath? Okay, so najasa would be deemed. So then the water would be mutanajjis. If you knew that for sure, it would be mutanajjis. Okay, so you'd have to push that water off with pure water afterwards. But if it's not clearly mutanajjis, there is no concept of najasa by suspicion, right? If you are just suspicious of water being najis, then you sprinkle. Like, I don't know if it's najis or not. Yeah, you just sprinkle water there. Okay, what else we got here? Let's go to TikTok here. During Salah, can additional dua be made in English? In the Maliki school, the answer is yes. If you cannot speak Arabic, then yes. In the Hanafi school, then no. What's the Sunni ruling on weed? I mean, weed, like every drug, first of all, it's intoxicating and therefore forbidden in all of its forms, unless it's brought in a form that is not intoxicating. Unlike alcohol, which is najis. So plants are not najis in themselves, but they can become forbidden if they're intoxicating. Okay. What prayers, dhikr, would you recommend for the new year? Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan pointed to that after we come back from Hajj, we're like renewing our deen. So it's the time of Tawbah, right? And that's why they made Muharram the new, the first month of the next year, because remember, once they started counting years, you have to actually count the months now. Which month is number one? They didn't have that. They didn't have the idea that the month is the first, or that months have numbers. They just ran through the months. So they chose Muharram because of that. So it would be a time of renewal. All right, next question. What are the main differences between Ash'ari and Maturidiyya? There are 12 differences that are compiled in a book that are, we can read them someday. I don't want to quote it something wrong off the top of my head. All right, slow down, Edif, as you scroll there. Do you prayer behind? I'm not answering that one. Next one. Which one are the new ones? The ones at the top or at the bottom? Let's see the new ones here. After having intercourse where mani dropped on the bed sheets, shall the bed sheets be washed thrice? No, you just need to purify najasa off of a garment by just making sure that water gets on it. You remove the najasa as much as you can until the water comes off of it clean, without having to worry about stains or odors. That's out of our control. And that's how you would purify a garment, bed sheet or otherwise. You purify a garment with pure water until the najas is visibly off. Forget the stain and forget the odor, and the water comes off clean. Is it okay to be friend with a girl so I can get to know her better? It can be difficult to find a good relationship after college. Okay, so he wants to befriend a girl so he can marry. Befriend is a very vague and broad word, and too broad to. I can basically give you some basic principles that will still always apply. Looking at someone for desire, looking at an opposite gender without a reason, talking to get to know. It's possible, but it's better off to do this in the presence of her maharim. That's far better for you, safer for your deen. As we know, the Prophet ﷺ said about two men, the third is shaitan. Imagine now a man and woman under the guise or in the name of let's get to know each other. Now, does a lot of people do it? Of course. But that doesn't make that the ideal, because a lot of people do things. Okay. So again, these rules aren't going to change. It's best if you're a Muslim, she's a Muslim, you want to both get to know each other. You try to do so in a manner where shaitan can't be the third. Okay. All right. What else we got here? All right. Nice comment there from Life of Dhikr. Yeah, I mean, the opposition, though, is sort of absurd, Yani. You're going to say that place doesn't exist. Time doesn't exist. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that these scholars accept as a premise. All right. No, no idea. Yeah. In Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, is it makruh or bad bid'ah to show remorse for the shuhada of Karbala and have a dars speaking about them? Oh, who are the deceased of Karbala? Isn't it Imam al-Hussein? He's not. What kind of distinction is there between his knowledge and himself? Meaning he knows all. That's M24?
No. Ontologically. We believe that God is spatially extended his throne. That is his ontological place above his throne. Yes, he does. Do you have a
Okay. Well, he's going to say that. I don't know if you guys heard it. He's going to say that. We're going to say this. Simple as that. That's it. Is that the same person? That's not him. Same idea. Yeah. Hmm. Okay, well, I mean, we yeah. Okay, well, look, anyone could say whatever we want when it comes to the aqidah of location for the creator. We're going to say what he says here. Okay. This is what we're going to say. ولا مكان. There is no location for the creator, physical location for the creator. كان ولا مكان. He existed and there was no location. Then he created locations. And he is now as he existed then. Okay, simple as that. You want to be and say that he spatially extended in a location but doesn't have a body, that's on you. I don't believe that that's right. I believe that what he says here. And he calls it kufr here. He calls it kufr here. And all the books based upon Al-Ayn wal-Athar and similar to it, such as in the own Athari Hanbali Creed, Nihayat al-Mubtadi'in says the same thing. Qala'id al-Aqyan says the same thing. So who are we going to go with? Who are we going to go with? That or someone else? Okay. Simple as that. And they all call it kufr too. You want to disagree with it being kufr? That's up to you to discuss it. Why would I get involved in your business? Subhanallah. Subhanallah. All right, let's see what Ziyad is saying here. Praising wine was symbolic, of course. Whenever they praise wine in poetry, I think it was symbolizes something else. And of course, there were some that did praise wine that were like profligate poets. There have been profligate poets who praised same-sex relations too. That's irrelevant. It's like having just because someone said something in Islamic history doesn't mean that it's part of Islam. What is actual meaning of wahdat al-wujud? Well, we say what the Shadiliya say is that really what they mean is wahdat al-shuhud, which is that we witness everything as being from the divine will, Allah's will. And Allah is the creator of it, and Allah has wisdom behind it. Is my son-in-law mahram after he's no longer married to my daughter? The answer is yes, but it is makruh to be with him like that because people may not know or this ruling, and they may think that you're with somebody who's not your mahram. That's the answer to that. It was told to me by Sheikh Mahmoud Shabib. May Allah preserve him and protect him. What are the guidelines for women hair in the Maliki school? It should be feminine in nature. So down to the shoulder. Not boy cuts for women would be makruh. Shaving it haram, according to the Malikis. It's because it's tashabuh birijal, but it's also what they call tashwih, like disfiguring yourself. For a woman, that would be her form of disfigurement. A kid vomited on a rug, took the rug outside, washed small section, but water splashed everywhere. So if you assume, if you don't know that whether the water was mutanajjis, then you sprinkle. If you're sure it was mutanajjis and it got at you, then you clean that part too. That's it. They used to give an example in the fiqh books of somebody, let's say, splashing out water from the balcony and it accidentally got on somebody. and it was, let's say, dirty water. You don't know if they were cleaning something najis. So it's unknown. You would sprinkle yourself. That's it. Where the water came. Okay, let's go to TikTok, see what they say. Keep going up. Keep going up. It's the same group obsessing. Yeah. It'll come and pass. These things come and pass because there's no value in dying on a hill that the whole ummah doesn't believe in. Doesn't make sense and has no impact on your life either. That's good. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, that's not even factually correct because hardly any Muslims say that except for a small group. Maybe a bit of a silly question, but where do you get clothes from and outfit ideas? Well, listen, go get the linen clothes from Abedin Clothing. Put it up, yeah, because they got some nice linens there. I'm going to get my linens from there too. Summertime, you wear linens, right? It's the most breathable thing. So put up the Abedin thingy there. Next one. If a person has OCD, then they should take the Maliki ruling that the removal of najasa from your clothes and your place of prayer is a sunnah, not a fard. And the middle opinion between them is it's a fard if you are able to and you remember to do so, مع الذكر والقدرة. But there are both opinions. That it's a fard, a prerequisite of salah, and that it is merely a sunnah. Why did we say that? Because they threw the guts of an animal that was meta, najis, therefore, on the Prophet while praying, and he didn't stop his prayer. Okay. How can we detach from things we love other than Allah? All right, that's a good question. But the answer to it is that it's a lot easier than you think. You don't actually have to, when you say that there's Allah and there are these things, you're separating between the two. Who's the creator of these things? Who's the one who gave you these things? Who allowed you to enjoy these things? Therefore, you engage in what you love, knowing that Allah gave it to you, right? And therefore, your engagement with these things has no longer cut you off from Allah. That's how simple it is. And that ultimately, you don't do these things in a manner that causes you to leave off an obligation or perform a prohibition. Simple as that. That's how it is. And that's how you easily merge between what you love and your tawheed and your ibadah. All right. This is why the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever makes halal, halal, and makes haram, haram. So how do you make halal, halal? I'll go do what I love, knowing that Allah made it halal. That's how simple it is. And therefore, that actually increases in your love for the Creator because He's the one who gave it to you. And it will increase your dua to Him because you're going to ask Him for more. If you want more of it, yeah, you're going to work, you're going to take the asbab, and you're going to ask Him for it. Who are some of the latest mujtahids from the Malikiyya? They're mujtahid within for nawazil only. That's what the Malikiyya say, is that the last mujtahid within the madhab was Ibn Arafah. But what we have are mujtahids in the nawazil, and there are many for that. In new matters, who gives the fatwa? You have in Saudi Arabia and Al-Ahsa, Al-Sheikh Al-Mubarak, Abdul Hamid Al-Mubarak. You have in Egypt, one of the muftis there. You have in Mecca, Sheikh Osama. And you have in Algeria, Sheikh Ahmed Al-Maghili. You have in Mauritania, Murabit Bah. So there are many muftis, and they call those mujtahid fi nazila. Okay. All right. What is Fulan wants to get excited by me answering this question. Why are you an apostate according to Uthman ad-Darimi? No, ask him. Uthman ad-Darim, someone wrote a book hundreds of years ago. Yeah. You have to say that the top of a mountain is closer to Allah than the bottom of it. Okay. And if you don't say that, then you're a kafir? Okay. Yeah. Al-Dhahabi condemns this even. Yeah. He was good at hadith, so they kept it. In affirming. Okay. Next one. What else we got? There, I hope Fulan is happy because kids are 13 years old. It's summertime, so they're TikToking. Yeah. So would Abdul Baqi al-Ba'ali also be a kafir? Because he says la makan, right? كان ولا مكان. ثم خلق المكان وهو كما كان قبل خلق المكان. He exists there without a place, without location, because the assumption is location is only observed by bodies, right? Or location can only exist for bodies. And if Allah's not a body, then he's not in a location. You want to disagree with that logic, you could take it up with them. We're telling you in Safina Society, we're transmitting these. Like it, don't like it. You want to hit your head on the wall? I know, Sahlan. You don't like it? I'm not debating you on this. This is what the book says. Period. Intah al-amr. I'm going to read you Hanbali books, and we affirm it as a valid aqidah. Ash'ari books, Maturidi books. The dominant saying of these three madhabs is valid aqidah. If you don't like it, you can go hit your head on the screen or bang the phone on your head. It's irrelevant to me. You can make 1,000 videos. It's irrelevant to the principle. This principle is like a foolproof principle. This is how Al-Azhar has existed for thousands of years, or hundreds of years, over 1,000 years. Probably Azhar is near or past 1,000 years old, right? So hundreds of years to be safe. And all the ulama have operated on this for hundreds of years. So we're going to keep saying it. We're not going to stop. And we're going to represent these three aqa'id and the four madhabs. And whoever doesn't like it can make videos all day, can hit his head on the wall, all right? It's irrelevant to me. What do people get? I never understood why they're obsessed with making Allah contained within time and space. What do you get from it? That's why I said it's going to pass. He's going to get a job. He's going to get married. His father-in-law is going to be like, huh? And he's going to stop talking about it. It doesn't make sense in the first place. And on top of that, how does it affect your daily life? That's why I know that they're kids that are off from school. That's all it is. Teenagers or something off from school. It doesn't have anything else to do, but he joined the team. That's the thing. His religion is now like a team. One guy said to me, he said where he comes from, everyone's part of a gang. When you join Islam, you joined a gang, right? Against the other gangs out there. When you only hang out with Muslims, you make gangs within, right? And there's a small group of these Muslims, but they got like 10 mosques. I'm like, what's going on here? Every time they break off. Yeah, because they came in as being part of a gang. Now when they're only with Muslims, they have to make gangs amongst themselves. It's just in their blood. It's how they see the world. So likewise, kids, they join teams. And they join personalities. It's like UFC personalities. So Strickland and Hamza attacking each other with words, just attacking each other. Or before that, in 2016, it was Khabib and the other Irish dude. He's completely mental. Notice that? He's forgotten. McGregor is like a forgotten. Isn't he coming back, McGregor? He's coming back for a fight. So they're tribalists, as Dariavo says. So it's a tribalism. It's a fan and it's hate. Internet is all about hate. You got to hate on someone else. All these kids will grow out of it, guaranteed. That's why you shouldn't be moved one iota about it, because I've seen it. I would say half of my friends, if not all of them, were part of tribes, theological tribe, attacking the other tribe all day and all night. Okay. That's why, you know, our method in dawah, he wants to join Team Safina. Because I'll tell you why our method in dawah, we keep the temperature down. Keep the hatred down. Keep the argumentation down. Why? It's not going to last. That's why. Cite from the great books of the Turath and the tradition. Nonstop. Don't let anyone stop you from citing it. Guys, if you don't like it, go talk to the sheikh. Don't talk to me. If you don't like it, go talk to Al-Baghawi, who says the same exact thing. If you don't like it, talk to Qurtubi, who says the same exact thing. Go talk to the authors of Qala'id al-Aqyan and Nihayat al-Mubtadi'in if you don't like it. Why are you talking to me? We keep the temperature down, the emotion, and the emotion should all be about love. We're doing this because we love Allah and His Messenger, and we love the Turath, this tradition of madhahib and authorship and discussion on how they got to these conclusions. All right, that's what we love. All right, and that's what we love. We're doing it for that intention, and that intention never ends. It will never end. Right. So, dunking, making videos and clips, it's going to end at some point. It's not something that's going to last. Also, an unsustainable pace, whether it's an unsustainable pace of posting, an unsustainable amount of ibadah, unsustainable amount of study, maybe temporarily if you're young and you have the time. But you got to know it's only because you're young and you have the time. Beyond that, you have to have a sustainable regimen of learning and a sustainable amount of dhikr, because you're going to have a job, you're going to get married, you're going to have kids, and you don't want to crash down. All right. So you want to build knowing that these things are going to come in your way so that you always have a little bit of learning every day. Sheikh al-Maghida said, if you learn one thing in the deen every day, that's an excellent pace, because he's building your mentality on the fact that there's going to be a day you're so busy. There's never a day you can't learn one thing. There's never a day you can't say one word of dhikr, right? So sustainability is that's got to be part of our culture. And the temperature and the emotion behind it can't be a furious rise. In our world, the furious rise that we saw in the past decade was MAGA, right? And where is it now? Crash landing. I like to put it that he exited. Trump built it up and he exited to Israel for probably billions and millions of dollars. But it's gone. It's done. Why? Because it crash landed. Anything goes up quickly, comes down quickly. But keep the temperature even and do it out of love, because love never ends. You don't study for an exam. You don't study to dunk on somebody else. You don't study to achieve status amongst us. There's no amongst us. We're like 15. That's why I like it when I work 15 guys. Maximum you count and get all the guys together after Jummah or at Dhikr night, it's like 15 guys. There's no showing off. If there was 100, they're showing off their statuses. Break up these statuses. Go to another masjid, right? Break up the group. Keep it down to 10, 15, 20. No status, right? No showing off. Shaitan cannot even whisper you to have a hierarchy. Hierarchy with what? 4 people? 5 people? Right? So that's the beauty of it, of a small group. Keep the intention should be nothing other than love of Allah, not seeking highs, seeking to, sometimes people have that. They find religion gives them a high. That's dangerous. It's good to have a sweetness in the heart, but it's also very dangerous, because you start seeking that as a distraction from Allah. All right, let's go to the couple more and then we'll wrap up. Finn says, you're closest to Allah in sajda. Does that mean he's in the core of the earth? Okay, exactly what we're talking about. The brother's using common sense. There's common sense. Is he by the rug? Then I stand up, I'm furthest from Allah. Nah. All of this tashbih, and it's even by their own standards, don't say it. How could you say closer to Allah at the top of the mountain? Did the Salaf say that? Right? Who said that? When no one says, as I say, the Salaf. You know how many Salaf there are? Abu Hanifa is from the Salaf. He's more Salaf than your Salaf, right? Abu Hanifa is from, right? He's from the Salaf. Is anyone from the Salaf more than him? Bro, there's a lot of people said things in the first 3 generations. You are quoting who people told you about, okay? That's what you're quoting. So have some humility. All the four people following the four madhabs, they're following the Salaf. That's it. Why are some modern day Malikiya preaching qabd as the mu'tamad instead of sadl? Usually people say that the sadl is what is often said, which is the mashhur. Kathura qailuh, what many ulama have said. But the mas'ala is not really an issue of severe debate because it's a fadila in the first place. There's no disagreement that sadl is prayer is valid with sadl. The difference is, what is it makruh to clasp your hands or not? We know for sure it's makruh to clasp the hands as a break. If you intend by it taking a break, because the blood is going to the bottom of your hands. But if somebody were to say the rajah, the stronger evidence is on qabd over sadl, then that's not going to be some kind of an issue. And many of the greats in the Maliki madhab have said it. And at the same time, even the Shawafi', nobody says that you're doing any makruh, or let alone your prayer being invalid, if you pray with your arms down. So it's not a mas'ala of fiqh that has to be really parsed and given too much attention. The reason it's given too much attention is so visible. It's like in the prayer, and then it's visible. So something is maybe more visible, but it's less important. Oh, really? Oh, very, very interesting. Can he show us, firstly, what do they mean when they say spatially extended in Arabic? What's the Arabic? That's what matters. And secondly, are there nusus from the Malikiya who said that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they decouple between place and matter. Yeah. That's what they say. Which that premise in itself is not agreed upon. I mean, none of these scholars agree upon it. To decouple between place and body. That's your philosophy. Okay. But that's not the premise of these ulama either. How do you react to brothers saying his relatives have now called him a mushrik and a mubtadi'? Learn to enjoy it as an elevation of your rank. In life, stuff happens. The smartest person, learn to enjoy it. How do I enjoy something bad? By thinking about the result of it. The result, you're committing sins against me by saying this, right? You call someone a mubtadi' when he's not, he's committed sins against you. This is one of the worst backbitings you can do. And attacks, even if you say it to your face. You call someone a kafir, even worse. So again, I like reality. The reality is you can't change people. You can make dua for them. You can be nice to them, maybe. So learn to enjoy it. How do you enjoy something bad? Think about the result. The result is Allah's elevating me every time. One of my sins is being dropped, and one of my good deeds are going up. I'm getting more good deeds, and Allah's elevating me. And think about this. Allah could have purified you in far more difficult ways, right? Car accidents, failures, poverty, divorce, bad kids, blah, blah, blah. So if Allah chose to purify you by someone basically hurling an abstraction at you, he's not hurling a rock at you. He's not shooting you with a bullet. He's saying a word. A word can be ignored. A post can be X'd. Simple as that. So you actually have to enjoy it. MashaAllah, I'm getting all this. And I'm in the tradition. I mean, prophets are cursed. Sahaba were cursed with what is not true about them. Great ulama before us, all of them were cursed with what is not true about them. Allah himself is cursed with what is not true about him. So you're in a good tradition now. So imagine yourself, I'm with them, and they're with me now, because we're all together in this idea here that someone hurling something that's not true about you. So all you can do is enjoy it. A kinetic nomad knows his stuff. Praying behind someone who is a mubtada in aqidah is sinful but valid. How do I overcome an attachment to Allah that is based on worldly expectations? Praying only so Allah grants you something. Okay, so that's problematic. I'll tell you how to handle it. Worship Allah Ta'ala because Allah is worthy of it and because you love to worship Him. Then separate that. Then ask Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for something. That's how you do it. But if you worship Allah just so He can give you something, of course, if He doesn't give you something, you're going to get angry. And if He gives it to you, you stop worshiping Him. You lose either way, right? So now separate between the two. Worship Allah because He's worthy of worship, and that eventually, hopefully, you find a sweetness in the worship and the ibadah. And then ask what you wish. Separate between the two. Okay. Ask what you wish afterwards. Is discussing fiqh questions in a work of fiction permissible or advisable? I actually am highly encouraging to completely separate fiction from reality. If you're going to do fiction, don't mix it with reality in the sense of the deen. Don't mix it as a Muslim character and he prays and he fasts. No, just make a fictional character, right? Because he's not mukallaf anyway. He doesn't exist. So in order to be mukallaf, you have to exist. I don't mean separate fiction from reality as in like the existence of the USA or the Civil War. No, we're talking about deen. Separate between the two. The two should not be mixed because it could just cause confusion. When is someone excused of al-udhru bil-jahl? By the definition, you're excused by ignorance if you don't know. That's al-udhru bil-jahl. Is it a sufficient reason to choose the Maliki method because I'm Moroccan over others to avoid misunderstanding with the people around me? Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's valid. All right, we got to go. Jazakumullah khairan, everybody. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.